It's Rhema Breakfast. You're with Andrew this morning, and I don't mind telling you, we've got one of my absolute faves joining us on the show today. And she is a woman of incredible wisdom and generosity with her time. I don't know anyone who's more committed to making other people's lives better more than Yvonne Godfrey. So, good morning.
Oh, good morning to you, Andrew.
So, we're about to get some great wisdom from you this morning about how to like the kids that you love. But just up front for people, they've got the opportunity to come and see you in person very shortly as well in Christchurch.
They have indeed. Actually, I'm going to the Lauren Daigle concert, can't help myself. And then on Thursday the 7th at 7:30, I will be giving a talk to parents at the Middleton Grange School. And this is going to be very, very exciting because I'm going to be showcasing some of the things out of my new book coming up called How to Like the Kids You Love.
See, you've got such a great way with words because I think that really does capture the parenting journey for a lot of people. You've got this parental connection to your child that binds you to them forever, that you're always going to love them. But my goodness, can they drive you nuts?
I know. Well, this word like is really, you could interchange it with enjoyment. So you might say, well, I like ice cream. Yeah, I enjoy ice cream. I like the movies. I enjoy the movies. But what I'm finding is that parents, while they love their children, you can't even question that. They're not liking the experience of parenting them at the moment. There's not a lot of enjoyment going down. And I thought to myself the other day, because of my coaching practice, I realized that the family is only as happy as the unhappiest person.
Oh, that's good.
And so how can we raise the level of enjoyment in parenting? How can we raise the level of enjoyment in the family so that the family is still the most important entity on earth to those children? Because what we're seeing, of course, is them being hijacked by the outside world.
Well, and the question of influences is a good one as well, right? Because when we're talking about seasons where our children might be a challenge, it's very tempting to say, well, it's because of all this external stuff. And I don't want to diminish the significance of that. But one of the things I love about your work is you are about empowering the parent to say, look, there might be a lot of things you can't control, but if you do these things within the home, you are going to set up a household where, as you say, you enjoy being a parent more than just loving this person as well. So, I mean, what comes to mind for you as we talk about this morning, this idea of how to like the kids that you love? Is there something in particular you want to narrow down on today?
Well, I think it's always about starting with the end in mind. It's one of my favorite sayings that I've stolen from Covey. And it's about having the long-term mentality that this is a period in your life where you're given a great privilege to influence these children. These children will greatly affect you, but there is going to come a day when they're not with you. And in fact, this whole book is not just going to be talking about how to like the kids you love that are living with you, but how to like the kids who have now become adults and are producing your grandchildren.
Oh,
Because because there's a tendency to think, well, once the kids have gone, fantastic. I'm going to stand at the door. I'm going to wave goodbye, say good luck to you, darling. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to then say my job's done. And in a way it is, but it continues on in your adult children because all my work is based on old King Solomon. I love King Solomon. He was such a number. He talked about that to leave a legacy to your children's children, that a good man leaves an inheritance to their children's children. And so I interpreted that as how much you leave to your grandchildren depends on the job you do with your own kids, right? Because that's your main responsibility. But the legacy is ongoing generationally. And because we're all living so long now, we're going to see our grandchildren and probably our great-grandchildren. So it's about setting in motion things in your family that you can look back and say, we did good. We did good. We scuffed up royally on some things, but we did good, right?
and that idea
So
of
the
your
content.
family cultural values as well, I think is so powerful because as you say that, I know my brain defaults to when you hear inheritance, most people think of a lump sum when mum or dad pops their clogs. Like, if we're being brutally honest about it, we're like, okay, so that means when mum and dad die, we sell the house and say we can pay off our mortgage. That is one thing. But the generational family character, I suppose, that you have, the values that you share from one generation to another, even to know that your children know how to pass that on is maybe a skill that we need to make sure that they're aware of.
That's right. Well, there is real inheritance anxiety, by the way, which King Solomon had too. Remember when he said, everything I've toiled for, everything I've worked for under the sun is going to go to some other poor fool who hasn't worked for it. And I don't like that very much at all. Uh,
True. Touche.
yeah. But the bottom line is you are going to leave it all. You're going to leave absolutely everything. So yes, there are some practicalities around setting that up. And I'm going to speak about wills and EPAs, the empowering, enduring power of attorney, living wills and that in my book as well, because it's practicalities plus it's all those intangibles that make our family what it is. So I'm strong about anchoring the family brand, the rituals, the food that's our signature in our home, the celebrations, all of those things, so that it becomes a package of sensible, good, pragmatic stuff. Yes, we've got to do all that. But do your kids want to be with you? Do they actually want to hang out with you? Is your place the place where the kids collect? Because this is what it's got to be. And I was just coaching a family yesterday who are intent on the rules. Oh my gosh, they've got rules for rules. And every time things go bad, they add another rule.
Oh.
Of course, they're exhausted because now they have to monitor the rules. So we got it down to, let's just think about the principles that make our family work. Let's reduce the rules, but increase the principles. And one of my favorite sayings is, instead of getting down on each other when things are going wrong, and start attacking characters. Let's just start talking about, do you know what? I think something we're doing here is not working.
Yeah.
It's just not working. Rather than you're wrong or they're wrong, what's not working? What have we got to recalibrate? How have we got to rethink what we're doing so that we can all like coming home? And that's my biggest dream, is to strengthen families so that when they walk through the door, it's a safe place. It's a place where you belong. It's a place where you can make mistakes, stuff up, but you can fix it up. All of those things that are principle driven rather than rule driven. So these are hopefully some of the things I'd like to share. I really want to talk a lot about how to restore trust after you've had conflict, because most families live in a zone of low-lying resentment fueled by contempt.
That's very true. Actually,
yeah.
And I'll say to people too, by the way, if you're loving this, a reminder, you can hear from Yvonne at Middleton Grange School in Christchurch, all right? So, Yvonne, tell me more about this low-lying resentment.
It comes from contempt, and I did a little research on contempt and found out that it was about judgment. So when we have a judgment about another person, remember, familiarity breeds what?
Contempt.
Contempt, right. So in the familiarity of parents and children spending every waking moment that they can, or that they are at home, we take the guard down, which is outside, and we are who we are. So we get a chance to see ourselves at our worst, and we see each other at our worst, and therefore we make judgments. And usually those judgments work to get our own way. Well, it's leverage. It's leverage. If I can make I can showcase the other person's frailties and problems and weaknesses. That'll allow me to get what I want. So there's a lot of that goes on in homes. And so I want to help parents put in place some principles that acknowledge we've got problems, acknowledge that things are going wrong. But what are we going to do to restore people, to allow them to stuff up, to fix it up, and then to be restored into the family? Because we've got a long time together. And I even think this and I've been married 50 years at Christmas time to Simon.
What a legend.
Oh my gosh, good old Si. I'm thinking we've got another 20 years to go. I look at him sometimes and he looks at me and thinks 20 years. Oh, love, this is a long journey. Do you see? So it's a long journey. So we've got to find ways that we can restore trust when things go wrong. And this is one of my big things I'm doing a lot in families at the moment, is giving them ways that we can, we stuff up, but let's fix it up. Fess up, and then we can, mess up, fess up, and we can fix it up.
I've made a lot of mistakes with this kind of thing in my life, but I feel like one thing that I might have got right early on, at least in my marriage, was that I had this conversation with my wife where I said, hey, look, let's assume we've both got the best of intentions. Like, we're both going to do things that are going to potentially annoy the other person. But when that happens, you can go down that fork in the road, right? And one of them is, they're doing this to get at me. They're doing this because they're being a bit of a snot about it. They're doing this because of whatever. Or, look, I might not have enjoyed it, but they might have had the best of intentions. And I found just that gives you at least a bit of a place to come to, that I'm not immediately defensive when they've annoyed me. Because it's amazing how often, like you said, familiarity breeds contempt. Somebody can annoy you and not even realize, not even have any idea, but you've stewed on it, you've festered on it for days, weeks, months, years at a time. So I can completely hear what you're saying, that almost like that family culture, right? And being a little bit clearer about how we're going to handle the offenses that are inevitably going to come from living in each other's pockets for 70 years in some people's cases.
And it comes back to, hey, I know they love me and I know I love them. I just don't like them very much at the moment. And I find that liking is a choice. You choose to like or you choose not to like. In other words, if you create a narrative in your head about what's going wrong and you keep building on that narrative, it won't be long before you really don't like them.
So true.
So it's about, pull back. Remember, we love each other. So let's make a decision to also like each other. And how can we do this?
Oh, look, I love it. I knew we were going to get gold out of this conversation, Yvonne. Now, let's remind people again, though, because, of course, this has only been 10 minutes, which, by the way, I'm sure you've all loved at home. We'll try and get this up on the website for you a bit later on, too. But if people do want to come and see you, one more time, you're going to be in Christchurch. Give us the where, whens, and how fors.
Thursday, November the 7th at 7:30 p.m, Middleton Grange School. It's a free event. I'm not charging for this event. I'm so passionate about families right now. So come along. It would be a good idea to contact the school to let them know you're coming because of numbers. And for more of my work, of course, I've got a free 1-hour video on my website, yvonnegodfrey.com, called Parenting Style Traps that, weaken your kids and damage your marriage.
There we go. YvonneGodfrey.com for all your parenting needs. I love it. Yvonne, you are a gem and we love you. Thanks for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next video.
We'll see you in the next one.